Labor movement in America. In the 18th century, as industry grew and workplaces they became larger and larger, employees' relationships with their bosses became less and less personal, so they had no chance to talk to them and ask for higher wages or less hours. People were always in danger. Their jobs were very hard and they were always getting injured or sick at their jobs. But the worst part of this situation was that kids were working as hard as the adults, or maybe even harder. They were working all day long, and it was reflected on their health and education. Sometimes they were losing their fingers or having other body injuries. The main reason why workplaces chose kids was that they could not rebel and make strikes, and workplaces could force kids to do the same job as adults and even pay them less. Another big effect of industrialization on kids was that they were not getting education simply because they had no time for it. This, of course, made people very, very upset about their government and workplaces. None of the workers had a voice alone, so they became one union and struck against their governments or workplaces. In 1904, the National Child Labor Committee was organized in New York City, and in 1908, they hired photographer Louis Wickham. Louis Wickham was the photographer that took pictures of kids that were working in dangerous and hard-working conditions. It awakened people to the horrors of the factories, and they started joining the union. There were a lot of strikes during those times, such as Pullman Strike, 1894, coal strikes, 1900 through 1902, coal strike, 1999, women telephone operator strike, 1919, Great Railroad Strike, 1922, etc. But in 1912, Bread and Roses strike occurred, and it was one of the biggest strikes of those times. It took place in Lawrence, Massachusetts. It mostly consisted of girls at the age of 14 to 18. Because of all the strikings, the government reacted to the situation and made some reforms in the children's rights. It was called Fair Labor Standards Act. This act had a lot of good effects on America. Unemployed adults could now work at the jobs of kids and make more money than them. Workforce was now used most efficiently. Kids were now able to go to school and get education to make a better society. All these factors made the American society more improved and much better. These were the effects that labor movements had in America, and of course, the most important one of them was the end to child labor.